What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel and not welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless, of course, your taste level is lacking. Everybody ain't able, not all of us are created equal. Now, for the rest of you, hi, hello, and welcome back. Y'all, I have a story to tell y'all about this cruise. It was a great time and how my mom almost got left by the cruise ship in the Bahamas. Girl, I almost ended up on 90 Day Fiance. Quiet as this is kept and loud as I'm gonna tell it at the end of this video. I got a nice little story time for y'all and a little bit of footage because, girl, a monkey tried to snatch my lash off. And if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you saw it. But if you don't, you're gonna get to see it today. But that was in the Dominican Republic. Don't trust those Dominican monkeys, okay? Wait. Anyway, let me tell you about the case we are discussing today, and then we'll get into my personal business at the end. And I'm gonna tell you right now, because it's always one or two. Right. The series of choices that I made were not the best ones to make, right? I would not condone anyone doing what I did. Do I regret it? No. I had a time and I gave somebody a great core memory. I say all that to say sometimes mama does some things, y'all, just for the plot, and I will continue to do so because I'm grown. Now, the case that we are discussing today is the tragic case of Tracy Mondabal. This lady here who had built a nice modest life in Ottumwa, I believe it's pronounced Ottumwa, Iowa. She is a single mother of four who had worked herself to the bone for years in gas stations, fast food places, and eventually as a certified nursing assistant where she would walk to and from work every day. And she was one of those employees that would pick up shifts for other people. She would come in oftentimes an hour early, stay hours late, and going to work, coming home, being a mother. That is pretty much the gist of her whole life. It's very predictable, very quiet, very normal. Now, her children, they grow up and they leave the nest, but she's been in the routine of like work, holding down the household for so long that little about her life and her daily routine changes after they moved out. Come February 2020, a slip of the finger changes everything for Tracy. While she was scrolling through Facebook looking for somebody else, she ended up accidentally sending a friend request to 41-year-old Nick Boat. And Nick works as a quality technician in a nearby town that is about 40 miles away from where Tracy lives. And it's seemingly a harmless social media mishap she doesn't even realize she makes until Nick accepts the request and messages her. And what followed was fast and intense, to say the least. The two of them exchanged messages back and forth, bonding over all of their shared interests, one of which being their mutual love for Iowa's like outdoor scene and wildlife. And within days, messages turned into late night phone calls. Now for Miss Tracy, Nick's company is a very welcomed surprise, especially after having to prioritize all those children and all those bills, all those years on her own. It was fun. He made her feel seen and admired. And she definitely not only needed that, but deserved it. And for Nick, Tracy offered comfort, kindness, and something new. So naturally, the next step for them is to make plans to see each other in person. They got to see if this online kiss me through the phone chemistry is something that is real. So on March 8th of 2020, they meet in person for the first time, and they meet in Pella, Iowa, which is where Nick lives. And their first date is to go out looking for shed deer antlers at Roberts Creek, which I think is a really cute date. That is adorable. Shed deer antlers. I want some. Now, the first date goes really, really well. Their chemistry does persist in person. It wasn't awkward or tense. It was very easy, and somehow to Tracy, Nick felt very familiar. They both leave the date feeling very sure about the other, and it really solidified for them that their chemistry was real. This intensifies their attraction to one another, and they make plans for a second date. This time he would drive from Pella to Ottumwa, where she lives, but unfortunately they don't get to have this second date because last minute Tracy has to pick up a shift for a colleague that had not shown up to work that day. And Nick had driven all those 40 miles to see her just to have to drive 40 miles back home without seeing her. And this love connection is being made right around the time that the whole world is shutting down due to COVID-19. So within a month of the two of them meeting each other and kicking off this romance, Tracy and Nick get a place together in his town of Pella. And he didn't just bring her there just to, shack up with her and make any empty promises. He presented a ring to her. He wanted to marry her. Tracy meets his two children, forms a nice, close relationship with his daughter. He meets her children. And the two of them were very happy and excited about what their future looked like together. A friend of theirs would later tell investigators, quote, they believed they had all the time in the world. The new romance, the new city, the new loving bonus children. It really was a dream come true for Tracy. Now, unfortunately, though, said dream will come with a cost. The only blip on the situation is Nick's previous relationship. Now, he had not been single for long before he got with Tracy. And I guess there's a game of semantics that can be played when determining whether or not Nick is single, right? For the 20 years prior to him meeting Tracy, he's been married to Michelle Boat, this lady here who is 14 years his senior. The two of them have married New Year's Day of the year 2000, when everybody thought the world was gonna be over, when he was 21 and she was 35. My man got her a young tender. And their relationship was always kind of rocky and a little bit toxic. There was a lot of jealousy. There was previous baggage brought into this relationship. This was Michelle's second marriage, and she would always throw in Nick's face that she was still in love with her ex-husband, that she still had feelings for him. She would compare the two of them whenever she was upset, pointing out ways that the ex-husband was essentially better than Nick. And one of the main things that the two of them fought about was parenting styles. They did not agree on how to raise and handle the kids. According to Nick, Michelle was a lot more abrasive. She was very rough with them, rougher than she should have been. And over the years, their relationship had just deteriorated into something that was extremely toxic and unhealthy to be not even just a part of, but in the midst of the poor children. And by 2020, early 2020, they were still in the house with one another, still in marriage, but were barely speaking to one another under the same roof. Just tension. Then one day, Nick receives a friend request from an unfamiliar but pretty face, and the conversation that followed just reignited a fire within him, encouraging him to take control of his story and change it if he did not enjoy his relationship or life with Michelle. And here's the thing, before y'all judge him, he immediately seized the opportunity to escape, okay? He wasn't creeping around with Tracy in the dark. He told Michelle as soon as he was sure about Tracy that he'd met someone else, and their split was immediate. He moved right out of the house. The two of them officially separated on March 11th of 2020, just 3 days after him and Tracy's first date. When I tell you he didn't waste no time. Now, Nick might have been sure and ready to move on with his new life, but Michelle, not so much. Honey, his wants and those separation papers meant nothing to her, okay? Now, understandably, she would vent online and post cryptic messages on her Facebook account. She posted this with the caption, "Can you ever stop loving someone?" She would share videos about infidelity and betrayal, and about side chicks throwing like shade at them. She vented about Nick leaving her for another woman to anybody who would listen, which I feel is normal. But then it becomes borderline obsessive, and she made it very clear that she was not willing to make the separation easy nor peaceful for Nick. Mama wasn't going down without a fight. She wanted her man back, trying by any means. She actually got in trouble for assaulting him 4 days after the separation, injuring him enough to warrant a no contact order. There were bruises all over his back and a nasty little cut above his eye that she caused. And just like the separation papers meant little to nothing to her, neither does the no contact order. She violates it over and over. She would call him obsessively, and when he would not answer her phone calls, she would show up to his job or anywhere else that she would expect him to be. She would fill up his voicemail box. In one of them, she says, quote, "You'll be seeing my face in your dreams very soon because I'll be there when you open your eyes in the morning and when you close them at night." Now, he tries his best to ignore Michelle and all her antics, which does very little to extinguish her. And instead, she shifts her focus from just Nick to Nick and Tracy. She would call Tracy's phone, send her crazy text messages, demanding that she tell Nick to come home where he belonged. And on March 20th of 2020, Michelle's harassment of Tracy escalates from phone to physical. Tracy is headed back to her hometown when Michelle spots her on the road and begins following her. And she follows this lady all the way back home, the whole 40 miles. And when Tracy stops at a gas station, Michelle approaches her and corners her at the gas station. Tracy has to call 911, and in the 911 call, she mentions that she had been warned that Michelle either owns a gun or has access to them, and expresses that she is fearful of her life. But nothing really comes of this report. No charges, no arrests are made, and Nick and Tracy do their best to try to just block out Michelle and continue to build a life together. Now, fast forward to May 18th, 2020, about 2 months after the gas station incident. This day began like any other day mid-pandemic. Nick tells Tracy that he would be working late, like through dinner hours, and anytime this was the case, she would always take him food to his job. So this is what she does. She runs a couple errands, picks up dinner for him, and then drops it off at the manufacturing company that he works at. Now, at some point during her errand running, Michelle has spotted the red truck, and she thought that it was Nick driving because it's Nick's truck. So she pulls up behind the truck and she sits in the parking lot, but then she sees Tracy coming out of the laundromat, get into the truck and drive off, and she proceeds to follow Tracy. And while she goes to pick up dinner for Nick, goes to his job, Tracy has no idea that Michelle is following her around in her silver Cadillac closely, but careful not to be spotted. Now, after dropping off the food to Nick, Tracy goes back to their apartment. Ironically, it's the same exact apartment complex that Nick and Michelle had lived in 21 years prior as newlyweds. Just after sunset, Tracy parks in front of their building. She is in no rush. She's taking her time, completely unaware that she is being observed. And the next thing she knows, a silver Cadillac pulls up right beside her, and it is Michelle, who is screaming and honking her horn. Now, stunned, Tracy remains inside of her vehicle, but the women start yelling at each other, and all of this noise they've been making, yelling at each other and blaring their horns, has gotten the attention of several neighbors. Moments later, a frantic 911 call is made by one of them, saying that they had just went outside to smoke a cigarette and witnessed a couple fighting, and said that they saw the woman get out of the truck, face all bloody. Now, another call comes in, but this person reports a dispute between two women who were yelling and shouting at one another. It went from both women shouting to just one, and then that one says, "He doesn't belong to you, he's mine." Now, these were the words of Michelle said to Tracy right after climbing into Nick's truck and stabbing Tracy in a fit of rage. And as Tracy had bled out in the driver's seat, Michelle fled the scene, leaving behind the severed tip of a blue glove. And child, the investigation very quickly unravels the truth. Detectives are at the scene within minutes, and the neighbors who had been watching the ordeal had gotten the plate numbers off of Michelle's car. They run the tags, which lead them to Nick, and then of course to Michelle, whose address was still attached to the car's registration. So they go around to her house, and at her home, they find the silver Cadillac that had been described by all of the witnesses. Y'all, it's parked in the driveway, rotor still hot. And inside of the Cadillac, they found a pair of binoculars, latex gloves, a hammer, a gardening shovel, and a crowbar. They knock repeatedly on the door, but Michelle does not answer. They just knocking, announcing that the police are here. Then they get Michelle's phone number and they start to call her. And then finally she appears to the door, fresh out of the shower. And she wasn't the only thing being freshly clean. They look inside of her washing machine, which is currently going, and there's one single solitary outfit being washed. A pair of bloody gloves missing one fingertip are found stuffed inside of the tank of the toilet and matches perfectly to the fingertip that was dropped at the scene of the crime. Her hands were scratched, and Tracy's fingernails had trace DNA underneath them that matched Michelle's. Tracy also had Michelle's hair in her hands. And then inside of the bathroom, they found her car keys on the counter that had hair, black hair, entangled in them, and Michelle's hair is blonde. Tracy's hair is dark. Within 17 minutes of the first 911 call, Michelle Bowe was in custody and charged for murder in the first degree. Now, the evidence was overwhelming, and unfortunately for her, indicated premeditation. At trial, Michelle's lawyer does not deny the killing. Instead, they said that there was a reason for it, that Michelle had been pushed to the edge or over the edge by isolation, heartbreak, and abandonment, and they asked for the lesser charge of aggravated manslaughter. Michelle gets up there and testifies on her own behalf through tears, describing the ruins that her life apparently or allegedly was in ever since Nick walked out that door. She said, quote, heartbroken, sad, devastated, destroyed. Those are the words that she used to describe how she felt after he left. And she said that she felt like her whole life had walked out of the door and she didn't have any food, she didn't have any money, she literally had nothing.
Heartbroken, sad, despondent, devastated, destroyed. Like, my whole life had just walked out the door. There weren't gonna be any more Thanksgivings or Christmases without him. He was my whole life.
I am nothing. She said that her life was just in shambles. She also said that that fateful day, Tracy had attacked her first, and she did what she'd done in self-defense. According to her, when she had spotted Nick's truck at the laundromat, like I mentioned before, she thought it was him until she saw Tracy come out of the laundromat, and she said she was just out minding her business grabbing food when she spotted that red truck, buying food with her last $6. Now here's the red truck parked in the parking lot. You can see it there, and also see Tracy's silver car pull up and park behind it. And she's waiting presumably for Nick to come out. And when she saw Tracy come out and start driving, instead of going home and leaving it alone, she proceeds to follow Tracy. She was very upset seeing her drive his car. She followed Tracy on impulse, which led to the two of them arguing, and her lawyer said it was completely like random and not premeditated at all. Here Tracy is going to Burger King to get food for Nick, with Michelle eerily following behind her. And here you can see Tracy dropping off the food on site for Nick, and Michelle sitting in the parking lot and then trailing Tracy out, just eerily trailing her everywhere she goes.
She parked the truck and he came out of the building and got in the truck, and they ate whatever they got from Burger King, I'm assuming is what they ate, because they ate. And then he turned to her and he kissed her. And then he kissed her again. She didn't believe my ass when he got back to me. I wanted to know where he lived. I wanted to know he was okay, and I was worried about him, and I wanted to know where he lived so I could go back later and beg him to come home.
Now, Michelle goes on to say on that day, she only wanted to talk to Tracy, to convince Tracy to leave Nick so she could have him, he can come back home and they can be a family again. But that day when she approached the truck that Tracy was driving and opened the driver door, she said Tracy immediately started hitting her, calling her crazy bitch, and that Tracy just attacked her.
I got out because I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell her how much I wanted him back, and I wanted her to leave him. And I got out. I got out of the car, and I went around to talk to her, and I opened the truck door, and she started hitting me and screaming at me, calling me a crazy bitch. She was hitting me and hitting me and hitting me, and I had my hands up. She's yelling at me, and I just snapped, and I grabbed the knife, and I just stabbed her, and I dropped the knife, and I went back around the car and went home.
Further detail what you saw and heard.
I could see two people, one person in the driver's seat of the truck and another person on the outside of the driver's door of the truck. The person on the outside of the truck, I could see their punching into the truck, and I could see the person that was in the driver's seat of the truck's upper torso coming over into the passenger seat of the truck.
Now, Michelle insists that the weapon that she grabbed was kept in her car on the passenger seat for protection. Then she had kept it there in her car to protect herself because her protector Nick was gone. And actually, she said all of those materials that were there, the garden shovel as well, the crowbar, all of those things were things she kept in her car as protection. And she said she grabbed the weapon in a fit of blind rage after Tracy had knocked her glasses off and she couldn't see. But child, her little materials were not giving momentary lapse, okay? They were giving premeditated, planned ambush. And the prosecutors, they paint her as a jealous, angry, scorned, possibly mentally disturbed woman who could not accept the fact that Tracy had been chosen over her. So she watched and she followed her with the specific purpose of catching her alone and eliminating her competition. Because in her mind, her sick little twisted mind, child, this was going to bring Nick back. Like, this was going to make things better instead of worse. And then, of course, there are her actions after the fact. Girl, you knew you did something wrong because you fled the scene and hid the things in the toilet tank. You washed your little outfit, you hopped in the shower, and when initially questioned by police on that day, she lied and said that she had not seen Tracy in months. Now, in regard to that lie, she said, quote, "I lied to police because I knew I was in trouble and I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared." Investigators also found this calendar inside of Michelle's house where she had been marking off every day that Nick had been like gone up until that fateful day. It was just giving all kinds of crazy. The jury deliberates for less than an hour before returning a verdict, which was guilty of first-degree murder. Michelle Bowe is subsequently sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and she's ordered to pay $6,673.75 in restitution. Now, since then, she has filed several appeals trying to get out of there and have her conviction or sentence overturned. The first one she filed was regarding her and her lawyer being denied their request to strike a juror. I'm not sure why they were trying to strike the juror, but it was one they didn't want up there. And they kept him up there. So that appeal request got denied. She submitted another alleging that the prosecutors had made mistakes that negatively impacted her case. That one was denied. She made a third child claiming that she can't afford to pay that restitution, and it's just not right that she be ordered to pay the amount. And child, they denied that little appeal as well. Now, after the dust settled and he hauled her off to her cell, Tracy's 4 children remained in contact with Nick, believing that it's what their mother would have wanted. And I mean, they like Nick and Nick liked them. They were in the process of becoming a family. And he was just a reminder for them that their mother that they had grown up seeing work extremely hard like her whole life. It's a reminder that she finally did get to experience like love and happiness and all of those things. And of course, Nick was left to grieve a lot because he lost not only his love, but he's now a single father because his baby mama is in jail. And that is pretty much it for this video. Now, the rest of it is about to be about me. So if you don't care nothing about me, girl, bye, okay? Y'all, I need to talk to my people, y'all. So first of all, I wasn't gonna give y'all a story time at all. And Miss Girl that was at the pool when I got back on the boat after I almost got left, she was like, "So we getting a story time or what?" And I'm like, "Not you clocking me in real life. I don't be realizing y'all be seeing me act up in real life out in the wild." I was so ashamed, girl, when you said that. I was like, oh my God, not me acting up in front of my girls. Not me doing that. But since you asked, here is the story time, girl, how I almost got left. I know y'all wasn't gonna let them leave me, right? First of all, okay, let me just start from the beginning. I go on this cruise, Virgin Voyages, for my girl's birthday, Mimi. I talk about her a lot on the channel. If you've seen me in person, you've likely seen me with her out in Houston. It's my girl's birthday, we get on the ship. About the monkeys, we go to the Dominican Republic and there is this like excursion to feed monkeys and take pictures with them. And y'all know mother is a nature girl. Like, I love me a piece of nature. So that's right up my alley. And Mimi loves animals. So it's right up her alley too. So we sign up. Honey, I'm in there singing to the monkeys. He like my singing, swinging my way. Shawty swing my way. Sing it over here, shawty. You got any requests? He said no. Well, I want you to go to the next one. This is a Negro spiritual, a more modern one. Oh, you can drop your monkeys off all on me. I was about to sing my neck, my back. I'm having a time. I'm feeding them. I let them run all over me, literally. And this one is sitting up on top of my head. I got shades on. The damn monkey pulls my scalp back blue, looks down into my shade, sees my nice lashes, child, and tried to steal it.
Ooh, girl, you trying to get my lashes, girl. You trying to get my lashes. Girl, he snatched at my lashes, girl. It's still there.
Ain't that crazy? But what's really crazy is they got my girl Mimi for her ankle bracelet. We had just bought ankle bracelets. They stole her ankle bracelet right off her little ankle. I think the people train them to collect things, and at the end of the day, they get all the things from the monkeys and sell them. That's just my theory, because I heard another group say, oh, we went and they stole this. I'm like, girl, what are the odds that they stealing everything? And they peed on a girl's head while we were there. And this other person, somebody in their party, got peed on as well. I think that they train the monkeys to do all of these things, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's what happened with the monkeys, girl. This next story is a little wilder. I gotta preface with saying this about me if you don't know. I'm the type of girl, I'm all for delusions, right? Delululand. I believe in romanticizing the day, seizing the moment. I really like experiences, right? I'm the type of girl that there's a gas station that I go to, I only get this one energy drink, the same flavor. When I go in there, I buy like all the ones he has in the refrigerator, right? I wear the same perfume every time I go in there. I pull up in the same little parking area. And the man that owns the gas station, like, he just knows. I just feel like I've curated this experience that he has with me, right? He sees me pull up in my Jeep with the ducks across. He knows exactly what I'm coming in there for, what I smell like. I don't know. I just like things like that. Like, I wish, like, my dream is for me to be standing on the other side of the street from a stranger and we lock eyes and I put like a little white pill on my tongue and we're just staring at each other. And then when the bus goes, I like disappear. Bus passed, and when the bus goes, I'm just gone. And they're like, that was so mysterious. Like, who was that? Where did she go? And the pill was like my antidepressant. Like, I like things like that. You know, I'm that kind of girl. So I'm saying all that to say, the day we docked in the Bahamas from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., I had a plan to go off on my own. My friends all went to Atlantis. And I cannot go to Atlantis. I'm not going to get into why. I'm not banned, or I'm just not going to say why, but I can't go. So I had to like pivot and make up my own day. And I said, well, why not? If I'm gonna go fool-la-la down to the Bahamas, I'm gonna make like, this is gonna be a good day. I'm gonna make the best of this day, right? With an agenda, mind you. Like, I had a whole agenda that I already sent to my friends so they'll know exactly where I was. I had my phone and I had service. So in the group chat, I'm leaving them literal breadcrumbs. Like, I'm here, just left here, or I'm here doing this and I met this person. I went and got some henna done. I went to their National Museum, which is beautiful. I loved it. And y'all, everywhere I went, there was a little piece of man helping me get from point A to point B. I was drinking, I ain't gonna hold you. When I got off the dock, this girl, she had this bucket of liquor. She told me she gave me a little piece of extra liquor. I thought she was just saying that. Girl, apparently she did. I found that out on the back end. Anyway, I'm out here, not going far at all from the port. Like, all of this is within like 10 minutes walking distance of the port. Now, I just want to say, I was on TripAdvisor and the girls were trying to make it seem like it's like dangerous and stuff. Everywhere I went, there was a gentleman like, hey, where you going next? I guess because I was by myself and I was, you know, a little lady. They were like, where you going next? And like, will walk me damn near to the next place. So I had a little piece of chauffeur, girl, and I was just having a time. Now, I went to Bahama Barrels to make a bottle of wine. That was a great experience with Joshua. He did tell me that my wine was mid. He texted it and said it was mid, but like I told Joshua, he only 25. He said he only been drinking wine for a year. You don't know nothing about wine, baby. I said, when you drink 100 more of these, you gonna think back to my wine and you gonna be like, damn, that was the one. But that was really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So if you're going, I recommend doing that. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy. Mind you, I've been minding my business all day. I goes down to the beach to collect some ocean water. Minding my business like I always do. Have been all day. This man comes up and he is like, hey, would you like to rent a chair? I'm like, I'm not here for long, so I don't want to rent a chair. I really just came down here to collect some ocean water. He's like, cool. Thank you for blessing my island with your beauty for this short time. So I'm like, all right, little daddy. He was real cute. He goes on about his business. After I collect my water and I'm leaving, but then he calls me again with his fine self. And he's like, hey, my brother is in love with you. And he has been talking about you all day. This is the afternoon time. It's about maybe like 3:30 p.m. So I'm like, what? And he was like, he saw you walking through downtown and he's just in love with you. He's been talking about this woman he saw earlier all day. So introduces me to the brother. The brother is like, how long are you here? I said, I'm only here for 2 more hours. He was like, can I spoil you for these 2 hours? I'm like, sure. I was going to get food anyway. So, take me somewhere. This is your island. Like, it got to be somewhere you would take somebody if you wanted to impress them, right? So he takes me to this restaurant. Now we walking. I'm thinking, okay, hold on. I'm going too fast. Me and this man start walking down the beach, like walking toward the sidewalk in the direction I was going. It's a strip of restaurants. I'm thinking, surely you about to take me to one of these. He walks me to a car. I said, excuse me, I didn't know we were going to your car. He was like, trust that I have way too much to lose by kidnapping you. Like, I'm not trying to kidnap you. And despite the fact I would tell any of y'all not to get in a stranger's car, I get in this man's car, y'all. I'm in the car. I'm riding around, girl. He done pulled up on some friends. Over here, some business. Over here, he talking to the people. I'm all in the car, girl. Taking videos of myself. Mind you, at this point, my phone, I no longer have service. I'm trying to like update the group chat. None of my messages are going through, like none of them. And I cannot connect to the Wi-Fi because I'm just out in the world. So me and this man riding around, he takes me to a restaurant. We vibing, it's good music. We do a little piece of dancing. We talking, having a good time, right? I'm really turning on the charm, the Scorpio, the water sign charm. I'm really in my mag bag. Deeply, honey. Giving him eyes. I'm giving him a little piece of tongue with the straw. I'm just doing a lot. Because like I said, this is just a whirlwind adventure for me. And for a moment, we begin to lose track of time. I did. He's the one that kept his eye on the time. He's like, what time is it? So I'm like, yeah, I just have to be back at the boat before 6 because we're leaving at 6. That was my understanding. So he's just like, I want to fly you back out here. I need more time with you. I'm going to send for you. And I'm like, okay, yeah, Zaddy, you can do all of that. I'll come back. And so at 5:17 p.m., he's like, okay, let me head you back toward the port because it's about that time. We hop in a car. He's zooming through traffic, getting me back to the port. Pulls up to the port. It's dead. When I tell you it was empty. It was like a ghost town. That was the first red flag. But I ain't think nothing of it. I'm just like, dang, everybody got on the boat early. So we sitting in the car, exchange WhatsApp information. Child, I'm new to WhatsApp. I had just downloaded it for the trip, child. But I gave him my little WhatsApp, got his. I tell him, like, I got dinner plans with my friends when I get off the boat. I'm gonna go shower, have dinner. I'll like talk to you later. And I explained to this man, the next day I got a long travel day ahead of me. When I get home and get settled, I'll call you. So he is like, okay. But he is looking at me with this, girl, y'all know when a man is just, when you really got him entangled in that web, you know the look on the face. So he's looking like putty. So I look him in his eyes all intently, girl, just to build up the moment and kiss him. Kiss him right in the mouth, girl. I'm a great kisser. He was not that great of a kisser, but he was trying to keep up with mother. Pull away from him. I grab my things. He's like, can I have another kiss? So I'm like, okay, sure, in my mind. So I kiss him again. This man tells me, you got 2 choices. You can get on that boat, get your things, and come back to my car, and I'll fly you back home whenever you're ready to fly home. Or you can get back on the boat and finish your trip. Baby, without breaking eye contact, I put my hand on the latch of that car to make sure it was unlocked. I said, boy, let me out of this car. Let me out of this car, baby. I'm done with this. So get out of the car. And I'm having a great day. Like, this is just a nice little whirlwind adventure that I done had. I'm like riding a cloud back. I'm noticing I'm the only girl walking back to any of the ships. I get close to the ship, my ship. It's a bunch of people standing around the edge, like looking over the dock. I'm like looking at everybody. They looking at me. Some of them waving, I'm waving. Then my phone rings. It's Virgin Voyages. I'm like, hello. The lady is like, we're about to send a cart for you. I'm like, oh no, I'm walking back to the ship now. She's like, yes, we're watching you walk. I'm like, yikes. So really, they could have let me finish out that walk. I really only had like a strong 60 seconds left. I take long strides. I am tall. But they sent a go-kart to come get me and drive me back up to the door, check me in. Mind you, my phone ain't working no more, right? I'm thinking everything is fine until I get through the checkpoint and I see my girl Mimi looking like she is like about to be in tears. Because around 2:30, I lost signal. They stopped getting breadcrumbs from me. They didn't know what was going on. They were calling. They couldn't get through. Nobody had seen me. And then we were all supposed to be back on the ship at 5:30. to pull off at 6. I didn't know that. And she'd been waiting at customer services for an update until they let her know that I had scanned back onto the ship. But when she went down, they wouldn't allow her down to see me. And she was just really worried. and she didn't want to have to tell Sharon Vaughn that her child had just gotten off the boat and not got back on. My mama said, baby, that man would have had to throw you on his back and swim you back if he had to. My child was coming back. I said, I know this right, girl. You better make sure he return your kid. I'm the last person, obviously, to check back on the ship. I walk up to the deck with the pool with Mimi where everybody else was and was watching me, girl, over the edge to get a drink and to get my girl a drink since she was so stressed out. And then, girl, you at the pool gonna clock my tea and say, girl, so we getting a story time? Girl, why would you bust me out like that in person? That's crazy. But yeah, because of you, y'all got this little piece of story time. That's what happened, girl. That's where I was. That's what I was out doing. So yeah, if y'all see me on 90 Day Fiance, you already know how I got there. Y'all got the backstory. And I think that's all I had to tell y'all. I feel like I had one more personal story. So that's it, y'all. That's the story. Why I mentioned the fact that I told him all of this, like gave him the heads up of when I would be able to talk. By the time I got up there at the pool, he was already video chatting me. And I'm like, I gotta talk to you later. I'm about to shower and have dinner. Video chatting me again. Like, just wasn't respectful of what I was telling him. Like, baby, I need time. Then he started texting me back to back and was like, sweet lips, send me photos. And I'm like, babe, this ain't gonna work out. Mama has to just go ahead and delete WhatsApp. And, girl, now I don't want to go back to the Bahamas, girl. You might find me. Yeah. So I was just joking about 90 Day Fiance, child. And that's the end of this video. Y'all, please let me know your thoughts down below. Comment. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. Jeez Louise. Mama needs some water. Oh, that's deep. Let me stop cutting up. Cutting up almost just got me kidnapped. Bella, go make mama some tea, girl. Staff. The two of them had married New Year's Day of 2000. And by early 2020, Tracy Tracy coming out of the laundromat and getting into closely in a silver. And Michelle had moved into 20 years prior as newlyweds. What's her name? Michelle gets up there and testifies on her own behalf. I don't wanna hurt anymore. I'm gonna be so pissed off at myself when I get to editing this and I gotta cut all that singing out. Oh, I'm gonna be mad. Better to be pissed off than pissed on. Where was I? And then here's Tracy's. Okay, and you can also see who could not accept that her husband had left her and that Tracy had. It's the dry tears for me. Where is the wetness?